Hi all, in this video we'll try to talk about Swathi Nakshatra, which is a Rahu Nakshatra. Swathi Nakshatra is in the Aries sign Libra. Libra sign is all about relationships and using the social circles, marketing, business, partnerships, and also talking indefinitely, talking without any conclusion. So the Swathi Nakshatra people also generally they talk indefinitely without making any conclusion. Whole Libra sign is like that. So they can talk without making any conclusion. They can talk for 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours, or any number of hours they can talk. That is the energy here. So Swathi Nakshatra basically consists of a single star. It's a very bright star because its visual magnitude is very lower. Visual magnitude and brightness have inversely related, because if the visual magnitude is higher, the brightness is lower. So visual magnitude is lower, then brightness is automatically higher. The visual magnitude of the single Eloise star of Swathi Nakshatra is only 0.16, very less, very little visual magnitude. And just imagine the brightness, it's very, very brighter. If you observe the meaning of this particular word, Swati, is a Sanskrit term. Its meaning is self-going, good-goer, independent, sword, self-blowing, delicate, and tender. So these people are generally very independent. They have lot of independent nature. Generally, if Rahu is in Swati, just imagine Rahu expands. Rahu is like a smoke, and just it expands the Swati's energy. And the people are very, very independent if Rahu is in Swati. And even Jupiter also has a quality of expanding, right? So we can say the people having Jupiter and Swati also they are very much independent. They like to be independent. And if Ketu is present in Swati to an extent, so Ketu compresses everything, right? So the people are not so independent. If Ketu is in Swati Nakshatra, then generally you can say Ketu and Swati people are not independent. If you observe and even more, moon, if even moon is present in Swati Nakshatra, then also to an extent the people are very much independent. And they are good in marketing and all these things, talking indefinitely, right? Because they feel that independent energy, so they always want to talk indefinitely without making any conclusion. So if you observe the symbol of Swathi Nakshatra, it's a young plant shoot blown by the wind. So it's an young plant, it's an young plant shoot blown by the wind. So here the wind symbolism suggests the airy quality of this particular Libra sign and also the Swathi Nakshatra. So the Aries symbolism, the wind symbolism mainly suggests it promotes restlessness. Means the people having lot of roaming disposition. So if you have prominent Swati energy in your horoscope, so definitely the people roam a lot. So they have the habit of adaptability, restlessness more, right? So the young plant symbolism suggests delicacy. So they delicate, and also it strives for maturity. If you observe any young person, they always work a lot. They strive for maturity. So here the young plant symbolism is like that. It strives for strength, it strives for independence, strives for maturity. Even there is a balancing element also involved because of the airy element, because of the wind here. Because in the Panchabhutas, in the 5 elements, wind is mainly responsible for balancing impact, balancing effect. So this nakshatra is the balancing pivot of the zodiac also, if you observe, because Swathi nakshatra almost it is in the middle of the whole zodiac, if you observe, right? So middle of the zodiac in the sense, if you see Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, Mrugasira, Ardra, Punarvasu, Pushyami, Aslesha, then you can see Magha, then Pura Falguni, Uttara Falguni, then Hasta, Chitra, then you have Swati, right? After the Swati you have Vishakha, Anuradha, Jyeshta, Mula, Purvashada, Uttarashada, Shravana. Then after Shravana you have Dhanishta, Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada. Then you have of course after Dhanishta you have Shatabhisha. After Shatabhisha you have Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada, and then Revati. So if you see, there is an Abhijit also involved here in between. right? So totally 28 Abhijit. If you remove Abhijit and normalize, it is 27. So almost the Swati Nakshatra is at the middle of the whole zodiac. So this side 13 14 nakshatras, or this side 13 14, right? Like that. Of course, this side 14 nakshatras, and this side you have the 13 nakshatras generally you say, but it's also 14 nakshatras if you add that Abhijit also. Something like it is at the middle, right? So it's Ashwini to Aslesha, there are 9 nakshatras, and then Magha, Purva Falguni, Uttara Falguni, Hasta, Chitra, the 5. So 9 plus 5, 14 are this side, and this is the 15th one. And then 15, so the remaining nakshatras, right, the remaining 12, or if you add Abhijit, somehow you can see this is at the middle, right, somewhere at the middle, right, not exactly at the middle, but it has that balancing attitude. You can also put it this way, there's a balancing attitude here, right? So you can relate the balancing energy with this kind of to be the middle of the zodiac, middle of the whole zodiac, because the area, if you observe the clear area, the basic problem is every nakshatra, our sages normalized every nakshatra as 13.20 degrees. You should get that question, right? How every nakshatra can be of 13.20 degrees only? They normalized it basically, right? Every nakshatra cannot be 13.20. How can it be? So some nakshatras are a bit smaller, some are bigger. The area, they finally try to normalize the whole stuff. The energies only, you can understand the energies. They try to normalize, right? Even the signs, 30 degrees, every sign, how every sign can be 30 degrees? It's not correct, right? So they try to normalize basically. So obviously you can see the Swati Nakshatra at the middle, in the middle region of the whole zodiac. That is where the balancing comes into the picture. So it represents the atmospheric aspect where there is neither storm kind of environment, there is a kind of gentle breeze, atmospheric environment also, very gentle breeze is blowing kind of atmosphere. The wind is not like, it's a very big blown wind, it's not like that. So Swati represents the period of our lives where smooth sailing takes place. Very smooth sailing takes place. So it's a very the gentle breeze is blowing. That kind of feeling you can have with Swati. Swati energy people are also like that, So in ancient Vedic texts, wind also suggests an idea of force, right? Because wind is an idea of force. Wind is a force basically, and wind has the ability to move the things, right? So generally Swati Nakshatra people, if they are in the projects, so they try to move the project. Moving the things is here. So, right, so this particular wind, this implies that even though the gentle Swati is capable of applying force whenever required. So basically they are independent, of course, and they can move the things because they strive for maturity, so automatically they move the things. So they have the ability to apply the force because wind aspect is coming here. So the young, delicate, this particular Swati energy is always kind of growing to become a strong tree, to become very strong. It strives for more strength. So this kind of growing personality, a growing personality can have fear or not, that is the question. A person always wants to grow because the symbolism is also, it's like young plant shoot, right? So just imagine the young plant which is trying to strive for maturity, this kind of people can have fear at all because they want to grow. So very little fear they may have, right, from nature's pressures like weather and animals or whatever, when in the nature if you observe. So very little to fear from any kind of natural pressures, because they always want to grow. They are independent. Just imagine the energy. Independent means what? Don't care. And they want to strive for maturity, strive for better. They have the ability to move the things. Just imagine the energy. So they generally don't fear, right? They don't have fear of natural pressures. So even a coral is the alternative symbol of this particular nakshatra. The coral is a plant which makes its progeny out of its own body, like bacteria and other microorganisms you can observe, right? So coral is a plant actually. It can make its progeny out of its own body. That is the ability of Swathi. So Swati's ability is to grow. Just imagine, it grows, it strives for more, strives for maturity, strives for betterment, right? So in the same way, Swati's creativity comes out of parting with a piece of itself. So it can create something out of its own. That is the ability here. Because coral was a symbol, coral was a plant which can grow something out of its own body. That of course that's a bacteria or whatever. It's a plant, just like bacteria are microorganisms. It's not a bacteria, of course, it's a kind of plant, but it has the ability to grow just like a bacteria or microorganism. So Swati has this kind of growing business here, growing on its own. Just observe the energy, feel the energy, the wind, the growing, the independent and ability to move the things, ability of not fearing about the natural pressures because the people are independent. So it's a bit softer to look at because it's an young plant, right? It's a very tender. So people seem to be very tender, people seem to be very soft, but just imagine the independence, the power of independence. It's something like giving a big shot when people are very soft but they're very powerful. The power is in growing. Their power is in growing themselves, right? So just imagine the energy. It's a very powerful energy here, right? And the ability to move the things with some force, because they can apply force. Don't underestimate a Swati energy person. They may look very soft, but they have that ability to give the best shot also, because they are independent, right? But nowhere we are seeing they are intelligent. They're not, the intelligence aspect is not coming here, but they have the ability to grow on their own there because they are independent. So it is common knowledge, if you observe, that coral relates to the it relates to the planet Mars also, right? So Swati has no direct correlation with the planet Mars, but through coral a connection is established here. A coral energy, generally the gemstone coral, we refer the red coral, we generally, that red coral energy is similar to the Mars, but the coral energy is also, it has the Mars connection. So Mars also is connected here. Of course, Rahu is present even more, the better force. So just like wind gets the energy to move through the imbalance between heat and cold, right? Whenever there is an imbalance between heat and cold, so then the wind flows, right? Swati gets this kind of extraordinary mobility. Mobility is the word here. Mobility, energy and strength from the heating effect of the planet Mars. Generally we say the heating effect of planet Mars. So in the Swati, so if you want to check the Swati energy better, you also need to check Mars. If Mars is also exalted or Mars is in a better condition and Swati energy is also very good, then just imagine the power of the personality. They have the ability, they have the strength also, because Mars is having very good strength, right? That's where Mars is coming into the picture here, right? Why we're talking about Mars, whether it is the coral connection or whatever, why we're talking about Mars here, because Mars represents your strength. So Swati is a kind of independent energy, it's the ability to grow. But when you have the ability to grow, or when you can create something out of you, then what kind of strength you have? If your strength is very dull, then this ability will go down. This particular Swati's energy will also go down, because your Mars is not good. If your Mars is also very good, then you have the strength, you have enough strength to move the things, to become independent, to talk indefinitely without making any conclusion also. So Swati falls in the cardinal achievement oriented, I'd say, Aries sign, of course, that is Libra. So Libra is all about achievements. Achieving something is the main goal of Libra energy. What I am achieving, that is the main goal always. Libra is always about what I have achieved, and it is very cardinal also, right? It's very cardinal because it's a Venus nakshatra, the beautiful, sorry, it's a Venus sign. It's a beautiful sign here. So this is why a sword is also seen as a symbol of Swati nakshatra, to represent its cutting fiery quality, the fiery quality. It can cut. So what is this sword symbolism? So the time when this particular nakshatra transforms from the delicate young plant shoot into a hard and strong razor sharp sword, right? So that is the energy present here. So when this young plant shoot, so it is young plant shoot, but it becomes very hard after becoming mature, after having enough maturity. So that is where the sword is also coming into the picture. You may think initially we talked about it symbolism as young plant, and again how it is sword. Young plant represents the tenderness, and how about the sword representation here? The sword representation is actually once the young plant becomes matured enough. So as age grows, the Swati people can become like swords. They achieve something. They get to know the things. They get to know the people. They get to know the uh, different subjects or different energies. Then you can find Swati nakshatra is something like a razor sharp sword. You can feel that energy. So there's an aspect of transformation here. So it's not like they are always striving for something better. Of course they strive, but one point of time they become swords. Initially, of course, they are just like young plant shoots, because Libra sign is always about achievements, always about having some cardinal relationships and all this stuff. So those with prominent Swati in their charts are actually, they are the late bloomers, you can say, and have a stronger second half of life as compared to the first half. That is the main energy here, because finally they will become Swats. So initially of course they are young plant shoots, but after achieving some maturity levels, so they become young, they become razor sharp Swats. So this kind of energy, so this Swati energy people, if you have strong Swati energy in your horoscope, you are a late bloomer. You're a late bloomer means you always have a stronger second half in your life compared to the delicate first half, delicate or very tender first half, right? That is the energy you can feel here. In the next video, we'll try to talk about the Swati's presiding deity, that is Vayu. Vayu has more relationship with Swati. So Swati is Vayu basically. So we'll talk about that. Thanks for watching this video.